for the Crosstown Showdown Saturday at 5:30. Big East basketball, Seton Hall, they visit Butler Saturday at 4 o'clock. More great news for Mets fans trying their best to keep the band together. They ink batting champ Jeff McNeil to a 4-year, $50 million extension. He turns 31 a week after opening day. With your Bloomberg Sports Update, I'm Rob Bushka.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Talking up environmental policies without following through is called greenwashing. And now we're hearing about diversity washing by companies.
Well, they just use a lot of the fancy words that everyone wants to hear about. We're going to do more to make our leadership more diverse. We're going to try to retain and hire more diverse workforce.
Bloomberg News diversity reporter Jeff Green says a study found that firms that talk about diversity can see big benefits even if their efforts are lackluster. That's because few companies are open about hiring and promotions.
There is no universal requirement that companies publicly report what they're doing on diversity.
Green says every company does an annual EEO-1 form that shows the gender and racial breakdown of the entire workforce, but most firms keep the forms to themselves. He says what is needed is transparency.
Show us the numbers. Just show me real numbers that I can compare across the industry, across the country, across everything else, and then we'll know. It's there, you have it, you already collect it. Just show it.
Jeff Bellinger, Bloomberg Radio.
Bloomberg Radio, on demand and in your podcast feed.
On the latest edition of the Tape Podcast, a conversation with Ben Slavin of BNY Mellon.
In this environment, we've seen an acceleration of not only product launches, but also adoption by investors. So last year was a record for the ETF industry. Actually, in the last 2 years at BNY Mellon on our platform that we service a large percentage of the industry, we were launching almost one ETF a day on our platform. Now that is slowed, and our expectation is that it will slow a bit, and also closures will tick up. So on a net basis, we might not hit that record, but the queue looks strong, and one of those drivers is really the mutual funds starting to convert to ETFs.
So that's one of the reasons, right? We had a regulatory change that allowed mutual fund conversions to ETFs. And frankly, ETFs are just a lot cheaper. If you're an investor, it makes a lot more sense, depending on, obviously, your goals and what you want to do, your risk tolerance, et cetera. But you're looking at 25 or 50 basis points, maybe 95 or 100 rather than 1.5 or 2%.
Fees matter, and that has been one of the drivers of ETF adoption. But look, from an asset manager standpoint, investors are clearly preferring the ETF structure, and that is putting a lot of pressure on the industry. So some of the mutual fund sponsors are saying, hey, if we can't beat them, join them. And now that the path is open to convert a mutual fund to an ETF, it just provides another way for large mutual fund complexes to enter the ETF space and continue to grow their funds and to some degree stop some of the bleeding that we've seen coming out of mutual funds.
Get more of this and other conversations on the latest edition of the Tape Podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Plus, listen anytime on the Bloomberg Business app and Bloomberg.com.
As a sports fan, you live for live sports. Did you know that TuneIn brings you live play-by-play from some of the world's biggest leagues? That means you can hear the big moments, the unforgettable plays,
and he knocks it down,
and the exciting victories that mark the world of sports.
The Stanley Cup Finals for the third year in a row.
All right from your phone, tablet, computer, smart speakers, and more. So you never miss a play, and you're always there when the action happens. For live sports, stay in the game with TuneIn.
The podcasts you love are